With part 2 of the 5th anniversary introducing 4 brand new units, this would be a good time to make a tier list, but not just a regular top 10 list. We're going to be ranking the top 5 best units of each color to give an idea on which color is currently the strongest and the weakest. So let's go. Alright, so we have the list here. As always, shout out to DNG for creating these lists and updating them with all the newest units. So I'll have a link to his Twitter in the description. But as you can see, we have 5 tiers here, all the colors, red, purple, yellow, and green, and blue. And we're just going to be throwing in all the 5 units that I think are the best of each color in there. And I guess we'll just go in order because off the top of my head, I don't know which one is the strongest and the weakest. So we'll just go in order. And then after that, we'll evaluate which units are, which of the stronger units are in which color and see which one needs to help the most. And basically just give an overview of how the, I guess, meta is looking like in terms of each color. So let's start off with red. All right, so we have all 5 units here in the red category here. So it goes from Ultra Hit to the Transforming Cell, DBS base superhero Gohan, Pan, and then finally Zenkai free play red 21. Now you might think, oh damn, you have 21 here. Well, she's always been a very good Zenkai unit, and she's only gained even more value right now with the release of the Tag Gammas, because the Tag Gammas are heavily blast oriented. So androids, I feel like people might underrate androids, but androids is a very good team with 17, her and the Gammas. That's a really good team. I unfortunately can't run it because I don't have LF17, but if I did, I would be running that a lot to grind up in PvP, because that is definitely a fun team to run, and the Gammas are definitely one of the most fun units I've used in a while. So this is just based off this, red isn't looking the greatest. Yep, obviously Hit, that's like a top 3 unit in the game right now, but then when you look at these guys, they kind of struggle to maybe reach into the top 10 maybe. Like Cell could potentially, these are all units you'd see more on the lower end of a top 10 list if they were to even make the top 10 list, right? So just right off the bat, red is looking like it might be the weakest, just straight up looking at this list. But we're gonna once again see how it is when we have all the units here. Gohan is a very good support unit. Pan is also a very good support unit. You can honestly interchange these two there. And then Cell, I think Cell definitely has gained a bit of value, especially with the release of Orange Piccolo. You can run a very nasty regen setup with the Cell, Orange Piccolo, and then Ultra Kid Buu. That is a very good team to run. So Cell has definitely gained a value. He was always very good, but he's definitely gained some value with Orange Piccolo. So that's going to be the red tier. So let's move on to the purple one. All right, so we have the 5 units in the purple list. Go Frieza is going to be number 1. A quick spoiler, but Go Frieza is going to be number 1 in purple and blue, because they're 2 separate colors. They're not just one singular color, so they're going to be represented in both these tier lists, and even now looking at this is kind of comparable to red, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people are wondering what the hell is First Form Frieza doing there. This dude is a very old unit, so why is he still here? Well, believe it or not, First Form Frieza obviously offers really good support, and he holds a blue card, which means a lot of blue card spam. And many people might not know this, but Go Frieza, First Form Cell, and First Form Frieza and Pan is one of the best teams in the game. It's crazy to think about, but this is a team that's been running rampant a lot, and it's what a lot of people have been seeing in the top ranks of PvP in especially the North American queue, because Japanese queue and North American queue face a different meta, as you can see from for example, if you take a look at Goresh's tier list and then someone from America's tier list, they have various varying tier lists because they both experience different meta. So that's something to keep in mind of when you look at other people's tier list. But especially in North America, this is a team that's been ran a lot in PvP, just because it provides so much support for Go Frieza, to the point that they just do astronomical damage. They start one-shotting people with their blue cards, and they get even more blue cards because of this Frieza. That's literally the only reason why this guy is here, or else he wouldn't even sniff anywhere near this list, right? But a lot of people are comparing it to how gimmicky Mono Purple was back in the day, where they were just pretty much, it's just a gimmick team, right? Like all the same color, but it was working because of all the Zenkai buffs and the tag reversal, the element reversal with Goku and Vegeta, right? So it's a pretty interesting setup. If you have all the units at a pretty decent start threshold, definitely give it a go and see how autopilot the team ends up being. but that's the only reason why he's here. Zenkai UI, definitely the third best purple unit as far as I know. If for whatever reason I miss out on a unit that you think deserves a spot, let me know. But from what I've seen, I think this is a pretty solid list here. I didn't know who to really put at the 5th spot. I was thinking maybe Revhan, but you don't really see Revhan at all. The reason I put purple 17 is because androids has definitely been buffed, and 17 is a blast oriented android, so he works very well with the tag gammas, and you can run him with 21. Again, androids is a very good team, so if you don't have like 17, the LF17, this is a very decent option for your support unit. But yeah, he can definitely, I really only realistically put him there because I couldn't think of another unit to put there instead of him, so that's why we have 17 there. But I think this is pretty much what you're going to be seeing in terms of purple unit. I honestly, you can I just thought of it, you could probably throw in Rose, but you don't really run into Rose at all anymore. I mean, you don't run into this guy at all either. It's, you know what, you can go either way with these guys. These guys can be interchangeable. I'm gonna stick with 17, but there wouldn't really be any problem with putting Rose there instead of 17. So we're gonna just continue there and go on to yellow. All right, so here we have the 5 units in the yellow tier. Obviously, Kid Buu is going to be leading the front here. Kid Buu can be argued to be the best unit in the game, so it's a no-brainer that he's going to be the best yellow unit in the game as well. But other than Kid Buu, we have the Gammas. I do think the Gammas are better than Jiren, but if you have Jiren above the Gamma, honestly, now that I look at it, I might keep Jiren above the Gamma simply because his teams are overwhelmingly better than the Gammas. Gammas right now are kind of lacking in teams. That's what kind of holds them back from being in the upper echelon of a top 5 list. But individually, like, I think the Gammas do clear Jiren. Like, they're just ridiculous individually, but Jiren is being ran with Go Frieza, who can be argued to be the best unit in the game, and then Hit, who also could be argued to be the best in the game. So being ran with 2 potential top 1 units is a pretty crazy team there. And of course, Jiren himself is very good. So for that reason, I'm gonna keep Jiren right above Gamma, but it's not, you can have them interchangeable to be honest, right? Then after that, it kind of drops off to units that aren't even in a top 10. I don't think. USV, and then the Super Saiyan LF Super Saiyan 4 Goku, the Zenkai one. Now, the reason I have USV over Super Saiyan 4 Goku, where some people would have it the other way around, is that GT, the only team that this guy is seen on. You can argue Sun Family, but I don't think anyone runs that. Super GT is just nowhere to be found, and at least USV, he's still good, and he can be ran with UGB and Rose. That's a very common Fusion Warrior setup. I even run that myself. Like, that's a team that you can actually use in top rank and produce proper results. Whereas GT, although you could still use GT in the top rank, especially if you're a good player, it's not gonna be as, I guess, easy in comparison to the teams that USV will be on when you have UGB and Rose, 2 top 5 units, right? So that's the only reason why I have USV above him. And honestly, realistically speaking, I feel like sometimes some people might overrate this guy. I think USV still performs decently well, but I guess people might say I'm biased because USV is my favorite unit, but I do have him at 14 stars compared to this guy who's at 7 stars. So my experience using USV might be a bit skewed. But from what I've seen, like, once you get an ally dead, he's definitely going to pop off, but you definitely need that ally to be dead first, right? And for the most part, he's not going to be doing the craziest damage without the ally dead, right? But like I said, you can have these guys interchangeable, but for me personally, I'll have USV above the Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and then this is gonna be pretty much the top 5 for the yellow category, yellow tag. Now, another unit you could include instead of one of these two is maybe Future Gohan, because obviously Future Gohan being the ridiculous unit in terms of support and basically never wants to die off, he can be included in these in this tier, because no matter what, he's gonna be included in some team that you want to just hyper buff a certain unit, because him and Pan are basically 2 units that you run when you want to just strictly hyper buff a singular unit, right? It's like a 1v3 team, but you know, he still has his use in those cases. So personally, I'm not gonna include him, but you can easily just remove one of these 2 and add him there if you really want to. So that's going to be for the 5 units for yellow. Let's move on to green. All right, so these are the 5 units we have in the green color tag, or color category, whatever you want to say. Rose leading the front, obviously. could be argued to be number one. I actually don't think many people would argue he's number one anymore, just because of teams like Universe Rep being so overly oppressive right now, and Rose's teams, you know, Future, Powerful Opponent, although still very good, are not the best teams in the game anymore. So he's usually argued to be in the top 3, lower end of the top 3, maybe top 4. But I do think that's going to change very soon once we get the next Ultra. But for now, he's still going to be the best green unit, followed by, of course, our boy that just dropped, Orange Piccolo, and then Rev UI, and then Kyoei, and then Tag 4s. Now, you can potentially argue the Tag 4s over Kyoei, but as a unit, I could see that for sure. Tag 4s, even as a unit, could be argued over Rev UI, but you have to remember, GT is down in the dumps right now, and Universe Reps are thriving. Kyoei is a very good strike-oriented unit that you can run on the best team in the game right now. The Jiren, Hit, and Go Frieza lineup. You can have Kyoei on the bench, and if you need a green unit, you can easily bring her in, and she could produce work. You can also run a Universe Rep team with Rev UI, 17, and another Blast-oriented unit. What other? It's mainly strike-oriented, but you can definitely mix and match. You could probably build Jiren a bit more blast-oriented, and that could work as well. Wait, isn't it Jiren? Isn't he? No, he's a. I actually forgot, because I think I usually build Jiren melee base, so I kind of forgot. But I do think his offenses are more split in between, so you can go either way. I kind of forget about that, but Rev UI can definitely work there. Rev UI can also work with, you know, triple UI setup. It's not very good in the top ranks, but it's definitely a fun team to run. Rev UI, the Rev UI slander has definitely died down a bit since his teams have been buffed, so it's nice to see him getting the respect he deserves. So that's why he's number 3. And then Tag 4s. Tag 4s are still ridiculously good. Just once again, teams come into play, and GT is just not there yet. It's probably never gonna be. GT is gonna get a buff, and they're gonna age out by the time that happens, which is unfortunate because that's how they handle GT as a tag. But it is what it is, unfortunately. Kyoei, like I said, she's very good. She's actually very good, which is insane that they actually made her that good. So she's going to be number 4. And I think this is pretty solid. I don't really think there's any other green units that can compete. I think it just pretty much falls off after that. Like, if you're taking a look at these units here, like, what other green units are you going to... Dragon Fist? Yeah, right. Angel Clone Frieza? Yeah, right. Like, these other units are just not there. G4? Yeah, sure. Yeah, these other units are just not there. So that's going to be pretty much it for the green units. So let's move on to the final color, and it's going to be blue. So finally, we have the blue tag here. Blue color. And I'm probably going to put a picture over this because right now I have Revival Frieza in place, but this is supposed to be Go Frieza because you can't have duplicate units in the tier list. So I'm going to put a Go Frieza image overlaid there. But Go Frieza is obviously the best blue unit also because you can tag into Frieza and he's going to be blue. Followed by LF17, Beast Gohan, Zamasu, and Boob. Now, the only reason I even have the Boob Bros there is because there's really no other blue units that I can think of that could fit in that category. Everyone else is just like green. It just falls off a cliff after Zamasu pretty much. So I decided to throw in Boob Bros. And even Zamasu himself, he's pretty much carried by his teams, which is pretty much Rose and Kid Buu double ultra setup, or Rose and Hit, or whatever variant you want to run with double ultras. He's just there as like a third option for his endurance and stuff like that, the intangible stuff. So that's the only reason why he's there. And then it goes to Beast. Beast obviously getting a significant buff as well with a new support unit in form of the base Gohan, and as well as Orange Piccolo, which is a good unit to run alongside him. He doesn't really fit well with the Gammas because Beast is a very offensively, very melee-based offensive unit, whereas the Gammas are a range type. But, I mean, if you really want to, you could try it out. I don't advise it, but you could definitely try them out there. And then we have 17, who's gained tremendous value. Universe Rep being buffed, although it being more strike-based, you could still make it work. And, of course, Androids, which is just on another level with the Gammas and Free-to-Play 21. So it's a no-brainer to have them up there. And then Go Frieza, there's really nothing else to say about them. They're just argued to be the best unit in the game by some. I personally don't see it, but they are still a very... The buff they got is just ridiculous. Honestly, I don't understand why they gave them such a big buff like that. It's crazy how big the buff was, but they did, and it definitely helped them out in terms of meta viability. But this is pretty much it. Now that I think about it, I did forget to mention a couple units. Casserole is definitely a good option to put in terms of red unit, but I think these guys are just a bit better than Casserole, so I'm just gonna not include them. And then for green units, I forgot about Magenta. Magenta also is there, but you're really not going to be running Magenta on androids because it's more blast based, and you're not going to be running it on movies because you have Orange Piccolo instead, right? So he's and then powerful opponent, you're not going to be running him because you have Rose, but you can also run a pretty interesting green yellow setup with him, Rose, and Kid Buu, or even green red with him, Rose, and Hit. You know, run some options. If you don't have Rose, you can use him as a support for Hit and Kid Buu or whatever. You can do some interesting stuff there, but we're gonna just not include him because he's not really a mainstay on any of his teams, so we're just not gonna include him. But I figured I would at least mention him because, you know, he's a new unit, right? So this is going to be the top five units of each color. I think it's pretty solid, honestly. There isn't really much you can argue with this. This is pretty much a snapshot of the meta, with the exception of a couple units here. Like, you just take out like one or two of off of each color, and you pretty much have all the units that are running around in PvP. That's basically it. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty interesting to see how this is going to affect, how this is going to be affected once the Part 3 Ultra or Ultras drop. But if we were to say which one is the weakest and which one is the strongest, just strictly looking at this, I think the strongest, damn, I don't honestly don't know. Maybe the strongest might be green? Nah, the strongest might be purple. Yo, actually, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, wait, yellow has to be it. These are 3 units that are in the top 10. Yeah, this has to be. I think yellow is currently the strongest. Blue is also a very strong color. You have 3 top 10 units. Purple, I think it might be blue. I actually don't know, but I do think the weakest color might be red, simply because these 3 units are not top 10. I mean, dude, I actually don't know. You know, this is actually not bad. I do think red is slightly weaker than the rest, but all the colors are fairly balanced in terms of the strong units. Maybe purple is kind of low, but you have to, it's hard to rate purple lower because they have Go Frieza. Like, they might not have the most top 10 units, but they have Go Frieza, who is the most popular unit, right? And UGB is also very popular, so it's interesting. I think I would say red is definitely the weakest, which is why I do think if we do get a UVB, Ultra Vegito Blue, for Part 3, he's going to be red, and that'll be perfect. But in terms of the best coloring, probably blue. I think blue might be the best one. 17 Beast, and then Go Frieza. Green is really good. It's hard. Yellow. There's too many. Yellow might be because they all have top 5 units. I think final option, I'm going to go with yellow. Yellow strongest, and then red as the weakest. But that's going to be my top 5 of each color. Definitely let me know in the comments below what you guys think of it. If you agree, if you disagree, what units do you think would replace in certain colors, or what unit you think I should have included that I did not include? Definitely let me know all that in the comments below. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe, because it's so important, so don't forget. Have a great day. See ya.